So your studies in visual media at the University of Bergen, followed by film and TV directing at Vostedels in Oslo. So how did the academic culture and artistic atmosphere in both of these, Bergen and Oslo, like shape your creative foundation and storytelling approach?
Yeah. Well, I think actually, I knew that I wanted to tell stories from when I was very young, but I thought I wanted to be a journalist. So that's why I started. I didn't get into journalist school because the grades, you had to have really good grades. So I went to the university to actually study journalism through the media science, but then I went to London to have some free study points, like a exchange semester, and then I studied documentary and photography, and then I just realized, that I don't want. I want to work with film, like something more creative. So then I applied for the film school in Oslo called Vestadals, and it wasn't until then when I started there and I did my first exam film or student film that I realized, wow, I want to be a director. I just love being, like having this team around me, directing actors, and I had a kick from collaborating with all these people, and for my vision, and my script. So that was the start. And then, of course, studying film, just practicing on students' films. I learned so much, and we almost didn't have any theory in this film school. It was only like practice, making films and writing scripts and producing a lot. So that's the way I think you learn to make films. But I think the most important thing is that you have something in you that you want to tell. And I always felt that I wanted to tell stories that touch people and about important topics in the society. So it's like just this drive that I have, I think, that started it all. Yeah.
So you run a casting like Nina Knag casting and conduct workshop for both teenagers and adults, alongside studying at programs like Bernilani Talent and the Ivana Checkback Studio. So how has working directly with young actors and participating in this program influenced your directing style and the way you craft your stories?
Yeah, I think like what I love most about being a filmmaker and director, it's not, writing the scripts or the technical part, it's the collaborations with actors. And that's when your script and the vision comes to life. So to earn money, because, it's not a lot of money in short films that I've been making for many years, I started my own casting company because I just love working with actors, and then so I also worked for a lot of other directors and production, like commercial short films, TV series, to find young amateurs, and also like worked with professionals. So in that way, I finished film school in 2010, and now I have my debut feature film. So that's 15 years that I've been working. My goal has been to make a long film, and during that time, I worked. Normally, as a director, you don't really work with a lot of actors because you develop and develop, and it takes so many years to actually have a film to direct. So then you sort of forget how it is to work with actors. But for me, working with actors all the time as a casting director has, and also I've been teaching acting and also participating in a lot of acting workshops myself, even though I'm not an actress. That has helped me practice, the skills, and learning how to understand how actors work, because you can't be a good director without knowing how it is to be an actor. So that's been really important for me. And also yeah, so now when I had my first worked on my first feature film, I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be, because I felt that I've been working a lot, even though I haven't made a long film. So that's.
Your short film like It's Alright, The First Race Toward the Sun, and the web series No Return focus on themes of youth identity. So, how do these themes guide your choices in pacing and structure when switching from a short film to a episodic storytelling like web series?
Well, it's like short films. I think it doesn't really matter if you make short films or, well, it does, but for example, from short film to feature film, it's the same process. It's just in a shorter format, but you're through all the same processes like script writing, directing it, all the teams, with the collaborations and the post production. So it's all the same in a way, but it's just um, telling a short film, writing a script to a short film is actually really hard because you have to be so precise on what you want to focus on. But in like a series, when you work with drama, like the drama series I worked on, or longer films, you have much longer time to build up a character and to get to know the character. So that's a big difference, of course. And also this the web series I worked on, I had episodes directing, so I didn't write that. So that's a little bit different for me. But with my shorts film and now my future debut, I wrote it also as a screenwriter. So that's then it's sort of I'm in all of the processes. But I think that it's a really good way. It was for me to make short films and to sort of know the whole process and have a vision and realize that and um, working with a photographer, editor, all those things, you learn how a filmmaking process is. So now when I did my first feature film, I sort of, it wasn't new for me at all. It's just that the process is much longer and it's more money and it's more on stake because of that maybe, and it's going to be in cinemas and all of that. So it's kind of a bigger um, apparatus around it, or I don't know the word, but you know what I mean. So that's the big difference, of course, and that the process takes many years, but it can also do that with a short film, from idea to finished film. So this feature film, Don't Call Me Mama, is I had the idea in 2018, and now it's premiering in 2025. So it's almost 7 years. Yeah. So it's yeah.
Let's talk about your feature film, Don't Call Me Mama. So, the how the idea came for the story, and have you like participated in any script labs, and has it changed? How it has changed in participating in those labs?
Yeah. It started, as I mentioned, in 2018. I got the idea, and actually, then I was working on a drama series that I was writing, developing, that I haven't made yet, but 8 episode youth drama. It was also about an Afghani refugee in Norway. And then I did a lot of research on that theme, and then I came up with some news articles about mature Norwegian women having relationships with young asylum seekers in these asylum centers. So these women were supposed to help these young men, but then they got involved like sexually with them, and I was very shocked that that could happen because I met a lot of those young men and also the women who was working on these centers and helping them, and I was a bit like, wow, that had never crossed my mind at all. So then I just knew from that that I this is something I want to that has the potential to be a drama. And then I started writing, and I took it from there. But it was yeah, and of course from this first point I was more like I couldn't relate to these women, and I was shocked, and I didn't. But then when I started writing, I sort of had to change my head, because if you're going to write character, you have to dig into her brain, and I started thinking like, what if she was me or you or anyone? And then I started creating this character that I wanted the audience to like from the beginning, because then when she goes on her journey and she crosses a lot of boundaries that maybe a lot of us wouldn't, and then it would feel worse, and she's a complex character. So I started developing, and it took a lot of years to write the script, and I applied for fundings from my regional center in Bergen. That was the first developing fundings I got, and then I was really lucky that I got into this program that the Norwegian Film Institute has. It's called NEO, and it's a program for debutant directors in Norway to focus on having new voices in Norwegian cinema, and also bold storytelling. So I got the project in there, and I got a scholarship. And then I pitched it for a producer, and she came along, and then we applied for production development, and then we got all the way to the production fundings from the Norwegian Film Institute. So we were really lucky to sort of have them backing us the whole process. And of course, it has a lot to do with being able to finance the film. So they financed almost half of the budget, and then we had to get the rest of the budget from other places, like a media fund, and we got a sales agent that actually believed so much in the project that they put money in it before it was finished, and also a distributor. They also so that's it's been a long process, but and I haven't been part of any script labs, but we were presenting the film in New Nordic Talents in Haugesund. It's a festival in Norway where we pitched it for like a Nordic European audience. So we were participating there amongst some other films. So that's been good, and getting in touch with international people that way. Yeah. Mm.
So, given your background in casting, like what was the casting process like and working with the actors?
Yeah. And the casting process is always, very exciting. And it was kind of a surprising start, because I thought that, finally we have a main character, like a lead role, in a female lead role in a Norwegian film, and also a very complex character. So I thought, most female Norwegian actresses would love this, but the first actresses we contacted were kind of skeptical, because it's the controversial theme, with a mature woman having an affair with a vulnerable young man. And they were afraid of touching this, because I don't know, maybe they didn't believe in me as a filmmaker, or they were afraid that maybe it was too complex, because it's a balance, it's a difficult project in a way. And but also they were afraid of the intimate scenes, which I can understand, of course, and yeah, so I sometimes I felt that they were a bit judging the character, and not thinking that this is actually a character I'm going to play. It's not, you don't have to sympathize with the character's choices, but anyhow, it was important for me to have an actress, especially for Eva, that weren't afraid of going into this controversial theme. So Pia Shelta, who plays one of our most famous Norwegian actresses, when I met her, the first time I asked her, "Are you afraid of going into a character like this, a role like this?" And she said, "No, why should I be that? That's why I'm an actress, because I want to push my boundaries." And so she wasn't afraid of that at all. She loved it, that the project was old and wanted to say something, So we just immediately clicked, and then I knew I want her. I want to cast her. the reason why I didn't contact her in the beginning was because I thought maybe she was too young, because I imagined her a bit older. But then, that was not the most important thing for me, because she was the one, and finding Amir was more difficult. We didn't find him in Norway. Me and the casting director Camilla Gleistad, and we collaborated. We did the casting together. We didn't find him, so we started looking in in Sweden and Denmark. And then I suddenly remembered that I'd seen a young Danish actor in a film called Reinforcement, and he's called Tarek Sayat. And I remembered he was very young and talented, but I thought he was too young. And then I looked him up, and then I realized he'd turned 25 actually. But he looks much younger, and he was a student studying law. And actually, he's not a trained actor. He just, for the film he played in, the first one, they found him in the street and casted him, and now he's been starring in a lot of Danish productions. But this is his first Norwegian film, and I had him over to Oslo to play with Pia, to audition with Pia, and then we just had him in for one time, and I think we all just felt, or especially Pia felt, that they had the chemistry that we needed, and she was really convinced that he would be right for the role. So I actually just followed my instincts. I didn't test him a lot of times. I just gave him the role, and I didn't really know how far he could go. So, but then he did a lot of research, and he actually also wrote the poems that Amir, the character, is writing and reading out loud in the film. And when he sent me those poems the first time, I didn't believe he could write. And then I just started crying because it was so strong. So, this is magical things that can happen when you cast someone you don't really know. Then, you can be very positively, surprised. And the chemistry is the important thing for me, and they had that. So, yeah.
So while making the film shooting, what was the most difficult challenge you faced while making the film?
The most challenging things? Oh, do you mean through the whole process or filming? Yeah.
Whole process.
Yeah. I think for me, always the most challenging thing is the script. Because the script has to work before you go into shooting. And it's such a long process, and you have to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. And in the end, you get completely blind by what you've written yourself. Because I worked on this script for many years by myself. I had script doctors helping me, and that was a really good thing. And my producers also, read the script and gave me feedback. But I wrote it myself, and it's my idea. And but then in the end, some months before we started shooting, I realized that I wanted to have someone else coming in and helping me with the script. So we got in touch with my co-writer, Katrine Valen Seina, and she said yes to working on the project. So she wrote 2 rounds in the end, because we had to cut down the script, because we had 20 days of shooting, and the script was I think it was 90 pages or something, and we ended up with 79 pages. And so she helped me, and also helped me do the dialogue much better. She's really good at that. That's not my favorite part of writing. And we just narrowed it down, and that helped a lot when we went to shooting, because we had fewer scenes. It was more focused, and then I could work more freely with the scenes and improvise and doing that. So I love working like that. So I think if you skip that part with the script and then you go to shooting, you will always, the problems will follow you because it's difficult to direct a scene that's not well written, and then you have to save it in the editing. And but for me, I felt that we had a really good script, and then it was easy, to work with the scenes. But of course, it's always, you realize when you're shooting that suddenly, oh, but I missed something. I need to put this in, or so I'm working on the script also during the shooting. And it's some scenes in the films that were not planned. Like it's one scene where Amir reads a poem for Eva, and that's a scene I decided like one day before or something that it was going to be like that. And when he reads this poem, it's the first time he actually reads it out loud for uh, Pia, and she had, it was all these reactions that were so authentic because we didn't practice this. And I love working like that. So the actors are also surprised in a way, and then something magical will happen. So in a way, yeah. But of course, it's a long process making a film, and the editing. I love the editing process, but it's also hard because you have to, find out how am I going to tell this story again, and you have to show it to people and have feedback, and you have all these opinions, and you have to focus on it. But I worked with a really good editor, Vidar Flataukan, and he's very experienced. So for me as a debut director, it was really good working with him. And he was like, just relax. We're gonna figure this out. And yeah, so it's really good to work with someone who has this calmness and that you feel secure with, yeah, and not stress too much. Mm.
So like as you said, like it took 7 years to make the film. So now it's going to be shown in Carlo Vivaro in the main competition. So how nervous are you? How excited are you? Like when the audience will watch the film, like what do you want? Like how the audience react towards the film?
Yeah, it's this is the first time, the 9th of July, we're gonna screen the film, first time in, internationally or anywhere. So of course I'm excited and nervous, but also really excited. And I don't know. I hope they like the film, but I know that I made a film that, it's also uncomfortable. Some part of this film and the character, I guess, it's complex and problematic in many ways. And so what I'm hoping for is that, you know I want to raise a lot of difficult questions regarding power and desire, and the fragile line between empathy and judgment and desire and destructions, because it's this gray zones I really love to work on. So I'm hoping, I'm not giving any clear answers, and I don't want to do that as a filmmaker, but I'm hoping that the film can start some discussions about these themes. That's what I'm hoping for. That it's a film that people will talk and reflect on after the screening. Yeah.
Great. So like are they like your favorite films and filmmakers that you want to recommend in general?
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, for me, like I really love Danish films. I've always been inspired by Danish film. So Thomas Vinterberg is one of my favorite Danish directors. I think he makes amazing films. Amongst like The Hunt with Mats Mikkelsen. It's a really great movie. And I also love Susanne Bier. And one of my favorite films is After the Wedding. So she's inspired me a lot. And then, of course, I love Andrea Arnold, the British director, Fish Tank. I'm inspired by her, the social realism and the way she works with actors and the realism of it. I love that, and I think that has been inspiring me, and also French films and the Dardenne brothers, and yeah, yeah. The list is long, but that's some of my favorite directors and films. Yeah.
So Nina, my last question is like there are a lot of aspiring filmmakers. So from your journey, like what advice would you give to them if they want to learn filmmaking?
Yeah, young filmmakers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think for me, like when I went to film school, I had a teacher telling me, don't think that you're making a student film. Uh, you know, don't care about that. You're making a film, and you're gonna, in like 1 year, you're gonna stand there with the Oscar statuette for best student film. So you have to take it seriously and act like you're a professional. And I remember when he said that. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this serious. I'm gonna find the best people to work with. I'm going to cast the best actors, even though we don't have any money. You just have to convince people to work on your project, because if you really believe in your project, my experience is that people want actors or photographers or whoever wants to work with you if they believe that you're the next, a film director who's going to come out in the world and give them more work. So I think it has to do with ambitions from the very start, so that you can practice making short films, make a lot of short films, and take it seriously from the start. And sometimes, you will succeed, sometimes not, but it's practicing and doing a lot. And also, for my case, it was when I finished film school, I knew that, I have to learn more about this. So I called one of my favorite directors in Norway, Petter Ness. He did a lot of films, and I just really liked the way he worked with actors. So I just called him actually, and I said, "Hi, I graduated from film school. Do you need a cast? No, director assistant, by the way?" And he was like, "Yeah, you know what? Actually, I don't have a director assistant anymore. So yeah, I might need that." And he was gonna shoot this new film, and then suddenly, but they didn't have money to hire me. So I actually got this scholarship to work as a director assistant for him in the end. And I'm so happy I did that, because then I was there working with him the whole project, and then I met a lot of people from the film industry that became my friends and colleagues. So that was the start. And then I saw how this big feature film production works, and being also working on big film sets in different roles is also really good practice. That's how you learn. And then I could take that experience with me working on my short films, and now, finally I made a long film. So, and I just want to say also that you have to be realistic. You have to sort of know that you have a sort of talent or a wish to tell something. I think it's very important. So you have to feel really that you have something that has to come out. And then you also have to work really hard, and you will get a lot of no's, 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 no's. And I got a lot of the projects that I've been working on the last 15 years it's like just lying there. It hasn't been realized, yet. But now I finally made this film, and I'm hoping that now, when I made my first feature, it will maybe be easier in the future. In the future, I don't know, but hopefully, it will be. So, but everything I've learned during the process, I take with me, and of course, now I was really. I'm much more experienced now when I'm 41, than I was when I was 25, and just came out of film school. So in a way, I think maybe I couldn't made this film 10 years ago, but I could now. So yeah.